What's going on, my fellow rock and rollers? Be sure to hit the bell notification button to be notified every time I put out a new video on my channel. So let's get started with today's story. Now, released in November of 1992 is the band's first commercial single. Rage Against the Machine's song Killing in the Name would become the group's signature track. The guitar riff and expletive-laden outro of the song made it memorable, and it would be inspired by the deadly LA riots of 1992, as well as the Rodney King beating. And the song would take aim at institutional racism and the brutality of the police. And as you would expect, the large amount of expletives in the song's outro prevented it from achieving much airplay in the United States, but the band found a huge following across the pond in Europe. The song would chart in the UK in 1993, peaking at number 25, but it would be strange that 15 years later the song would make a return to the UK charts, but this time at the number 1 spot. It was something that was really unthinkable and shocked a lot of people, but how did it happen? Well, stay tuned to find out. Christmas time is a big moment for musicians in the UK. It's a general rule of thumb in the country that whatever song tops the charts during the holiday season will go on to become the biggest selling song of the year. And this is a tradition that dates back 50 years to the 70s when rock bands would put out Christmas-themed songs or covers. But come 2005, things started to change a bit in the UK. Now, reality TV has been one of the many scourges that has plagued television over the past 20 years, and music shows especially have exploded since American Idol's inception in the early 2000s. And one of those music shows was the Simon Cowell created X Factor, which originally started in the UK and migrated across the pond to America in the later part of the decade. And in the UK from 2005 to 2008, each season's winner of the X Factor would always have the number 1 song in the country come Christmas time. It was almost like figuring out who was going to win the election in North Korea. And in 2008, radio DJ John Mortar was sick of Simon Cowell's bullshit and launched an online campaign to prevent that year's winner, Alexandra Burke, from taking the number 1 spot. He would urge people online to buy the Rick Astley song Never Gonna Give You Up, but the campaign would ultimately fail. Astley's song would not even crack the top 50 in the UK, peaking at number 73. And Burke's cover of Hallelujah easily took the number 1 spot that year and became the biggest selling holiday single of all time in the UK. But come 2009, things would change. In early December of 2009, the same DJ and his wife Tracy would launch a group on Facebook encouraging people to buy the song Killing in the Name before Christmas in order to prevent the winner of the X Factor that year from taking the number 1 spot. The campaign would ask people, fed up of Simon Cowell's latest karaoke act being Christmas number 1? Me too. So who's up for a mass purchase of the track Killing in the Name as a protest to the X Factor monotony? And the X Factor winner that year was a person named Joe McElderry who covered the Miley Cyrus song The Climb. Now, the X Factor song was promising to donate some of their profits to charity, while Rage Against the X Factor campaign encouraged supporters to also give to charity. In fact, a Just Giving page was created to raise money for the homeless charity named Shelter, which by December 20th of 2009 had already raised over $100,000 US in funds. By the middle of December, the group reportedly had over 700,000 members on Facebook. And the campaign even caught the attention of Rage Against the Machine guitarist Tom Morello, who lent his support, saying that achieving the Christmas number 1 would be, as he put it, a wonderful dose of anarchy. And Morello even planned to donate royalties from the sales of the song to charity. But Morello wouldn't be the only high-profile musician giving their support to the campaign, as Dave Grohl, Them Crooked Vultures, Muse, and even The Prodigy also voiced their support for the campaign. But also lending their support was heavyweight Paul McCartney, who coincidentally also appeared on the X Factor with the finalists. And Simon Cowell, for his part, apparently responded to the campaign, reportedly calling it stupid and cynical. But one thing that went unnoticed was that both the X Factor and Rage Against the Machine were both signed to record labels that were part of Sony BMG, so at the end of the day, Sony would win regardless of the outcome. The campaign received a lot of media attention in the UK, but it would be the BBC who helped propel the band across the finish line. On December 17, 2009, BBC Radio 5 invited Rage Against the Machine to perform their single Killing in the Name live on the air for their breakfast show.
Number 1 for Christmas, how would that be, and what would you like to say to the potential buyers listening?
Well, I think it'd be kind of a wonderful statement. The kids all over the UK have responded to this incredible internet campaign. And I think that it says something about, the real tensions that people are experiencing all over the UK and the United States as well. And I think people would love to hear a song that reflects some of the tensions that they're experiencing in their daily lives, and we're very excited about it.
Do you think it's a rage against the manufactured pop business?
Well, I mean, this has been a real, completely grassroots campaign started by real fans of music, and I think it's tapped into the silent majority of the people in the UK are tired of being spoon-fed one schmaltzy ballad after another, and they want to take back their own charts. And we are honored that they've chosen our song to be the rebel anthem to try to topple the X Factor monopoly.
What about those guys who say it's on the same record label as Simon Cowell, so ultimately he will still benefit? He operates under the Sony umbrella.
Yeah, well, first of all, people are not buying "Killing the Name" to protest a record coming out on a company. On a major company. We wrote "Killing the Name" in a small industrial slum in Los Angeles. The X Factor song was written by a cabal of overpaid songwriters to shove that schmaltzy business down your throats. So they're two very different choices. And
Simon is an interesting character who seems to have profited greatly off humiliating people on live television, and has a unique position of someone who could not only capture the attention of some people on television, but also on the airwaves. And we see this as a necessary break in the chain of that control.
While frontman Zach De La Rocha would censor the first few lines of the outro, he would scream the actual lyrics for the rest of the song.
Do what you tell me! Fuck you, I'm gonna do what you tell me! Fuck you, I'm gonna do what you tell me!
The performance stirred up so much controversy that the BBC had to apologize following the performance. But remember guys, there's no such thing as bad publicity, right? So 3 days after the BBC performance, it was announced that Killing in the Name had dethroned the X Factor for that year, taking the #1 spot with over 500,000 digital downloads. The irony would be that the following week, the X Factor winner Joe McElderry's cover of The Climb would take the #1 spot, making it the last #1 song of the year. It was during that week Killing in the Name fell to the #2 spot before completely falling off the charts entering into the new year. So how do you guys feel about the campaign, and do you think we could see more of this in the future to show that rock and roll is still alive? Let me know in the comments, and be sure to hit the like and subscribe button as well as the bell notification icon. Take care.